I'll introduce you, Lori.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the second half of today's webinar for Celebrate Cybersecurity. We have two distinguished panelists with us, our host, Steffie Rawlings, otherwise known as Steffie, and Dr. Lori Liebrock from the Center for Cybersecurity. Okay, Lori, would you say the center for me?
It's the New Mexico Cybersecurity Center of Excellence.
Thank you. And we are going to be recording this. It will be distributed to you at a later time. Just to make sure everybody knows our ground rules. If something's going on during the presentation, like you can't see or hear us, please raise your hand. And everybody on the call has been with us at other webinars. Please put your questions into the Q&A, or we could have the option for you to ask it when we're done with the presentation. And without further ado, I'll turn it over to Steffie Rawlings.
Thank you, Christopher. Greetings and welcome to our fourth and final week of the webinars as we celebrate Cybersecurity Awareness Month. My name is Steffie Rawlings, and I'm the coordinator of the New Mexico Small Business Development Program called the Technology Commercialization Accelerator here at New Mexico Tech in Socorro, New Mexico. The TCA has collaborated with the New Mexico Cybersecurity Center of Excellence also here at New Mexico Tech to celebrate Cybersecurity Awareness Month. We have provided cybersecurity webinars related to education, careers, industry, and community throughout the month of October. We scheduled 2 webinars a week as we tried to provide cybersecurity awareness to the residents of New Mexico. We are recording these presentations, and the recordings will be placed on the New Mexico Small Business Development Center YouTube channel. We will have a Q&A at the end of the presentation, so if you have any questions or comments, please use the Q&A at the bottom of your screen. This week, we will be presenting information on cybersecurity in the community. This morning, we had Jennifer Cook from the National Cybersecurity Alliance team presenting It's Easy to Stay Safe Online. This afternoon, we have Dr. Lori Liebrock from New Mexico Cybersecurity Center of Excellence presenting the future of the New Mexico Cybersecurity of Excellence and CyberReady. We welcome you and glad you are here. I would like to thank all the panelists, speakers, Christopher Garcia, Dr. Liebrock, Lisa, and Jessica, who helped with this event. Thank you. Next, I would like to introduce Dr. Lori Liebrock, Director of the New Mexico Cybersecurity Center of Excellence.
Welcome, everyone. And I'm excited to be here with you because cybersecurity has been my passion now at New Mexico Tech for 20 years. And so it's really exciting to me to be able to share some of what we're doing in the New Mexico Cybersecurity Center of Excellence with all of you. So I want to start with where are we now, where are we going, and how will we get there? The issues for New Mexico, the reason we have a Cybersecurity Center of Excellence is because New Mexico for many years was known to be a trailing state in cybersecurity, that our cybersecurity and protection for our citizenry is not the best. So the NMCCoE, the Center of Excellence, here's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about the center itself, an overview of how it was established and what we do. I'll then talk about the CyberReady New Mexico program. And then 2 new things that I want to bring to your attention is the New Mexico Cybersecurity Planning Committee and the FEMA National Advisory Committee. So I'll tell you a little bit about those. Those are 2 fairly new things that have come about, and then some opportunities for how we might work together to provide support for you and how you can collaborate with us and provide support for us. So we want this to be a partnership with our handout to partner with all of you, and we're hoping to help make that happen. So NMCCoE was founded in 2019 Originally, there were two cybersecurity centers. One was proposed by me as a research and public service project to the state of New Mexico. And the other was created as a governor's initiative for the Center of Excellence for Economic Development. Those two centers merged this year in January. And so now the NMCCoE is a research division of New Mexico Tech, funded as a research and public service project. And our vision is really to make New Mexico a leader in cybersecurity. That is including economic development, education, innovation, research, and how do we do this? What's coming out in other places is whole of state cybersecurity. So how do we think more holistically across the state and stop the siloing that has happened where, you know, I have my protections, you're on your own for yours. You have to deal with whatever happens to you. We're trying to change that to a more collaborative approach where we can help each other be more secure and help each other respond to cyber incidents as they occur. So in all of these, we have goals that align with that vision of making New Mexico a leader. And as I said earlier, we're now a legislatively recognized program in the state of New Mexico to help with this initiative. The workforce in NMCCoE, primarily there are 3 of us that work here full-time. And this last year, we had a total of 60 students that we supported through research projects, doing outreach, just work on grants and contracts, all of those sorts of things. But our team is very interdisciplinary. So we have faculty from computer and students, faculty and students, and staff engaged from computer science, electrical engineering, the IT program, management, math, materials engineering, and other divisions as well. The Office of Innovation Commercialization, Dr. Mariah Tomer is right next door to us and works with us on many things. And it's a great collaboration to have that entrepreneurial spirit coming out of her office, as well as her understanding of intellectual property protection and where we can go with the innovations in cybersecurity that we're trying to help students make. We have adjuncts from a number of locations, the national labs primarily, but also some other places. So we're working on expanding our adjunct pool in order to teach a more robust set of graduate programs. And the other collaborations that we're really excited about are state agencies, higher education department, the public education department, the economic development department, and the Department of Information Technology are the big ones. Then the public facilities, I lost their PFSA acronym. That agency does support for K-12, and we work with them. The statewide education network, Checks and Chess, are the IT professionals for colleges and universities across the state. We're working with New Mexico Highlands on our transdisciplinary graduate programs, and then collaborations with all of these national laboratories. And you'll see a little bit later the work we're doing with FEMA now. And the FBI is not on that list, but should be, because we've just begun collaborating with them as well. So some of our current work, and I'm going to go through this presentation pretty quickly because I want time for discussion and input from our participants. So we may run short if you don't have questions. So please, if you have questions, put them into the system so that Chris can interrupt me and we can deal with them as we go. Current NMCCoE work, we've been working with for a couple of years with the Department of Defense on cybersecurity maturity model certification preparation for companies in New Mexico. We've specifically provided support for 10 companies in New Mexico with IT service providers here in the state, as well as the work that we do with them to help them be prepared for meeting CMMC requirements. This is all coming about because in the future, if you don't meet those requirements completely, you won't be able to have a government contract, at least not a DoD contract. And we've seen it being applied to DOE and some other agencies as well. The good news is CMMC now for most things is just NIST 800-171, which has already been talked about in this series. On Codebreaker Challenge, we have some National Science Foundation funding to help us provide a community of support for students that don't otherwise have cybersecurity programs. So there's been quite a bit of research done on informal learning communities and how by getting engaged with the right kind of community, we can learn a lot about a discipline. We can become professionals in a discipline from a different path than just traditional educational pathways. And so we're using that community of practice approach to create an online set of resources for students in a community where the ethics and behaviors and puzzle solving approach to cybersecurity is just part of who we are and what we do. And that's the community in the broad sense. So we have hundreds of participants in that. It's helped grow the Codebreaker Challenge cohort of students that are participating in that. That challenge is going on live right now, where students are taking the challenge and attempting to do the code breaking that is part of NSA's competition. And to be honest, their recruiting platform, right? They use the competition to find high performers and then reach out to them to try to recruit them to help with securing our nation. We have open source intelligence research projects that are going on that collect open data sets, integrate them, analyze them through multi-source information fusion, and then try to provide intelligence from them on what's happening, how can you use this infrastructure to provide better information to our community. So we're working on that with Sandia National Laboratories, and the FBI is interested in that work now, as well as we've got a couple other groups that have just expressed interest in that sort of information fusion and access to the intelligence. So we're looking at how to stand up a portal that's behind a login so that we're not giving information to the bad guys because they don't need any more help. But trying to stand that up as a resource for the community. We have transdisciplinary cybersecurity graduate degrees in Master of Science, Professional Masters, which is just course-based. The research there is integrated into the courses and not a separate thesis. And doctoral program. So they're transdisciplinary because unlike the cybersecurity degrees that are coming from most computer science departments, those programs are focused on just technical work. So network security, digital forensics, access controls, encryption, those sorts of things. We have those technical components as the technical electives that students focus on after they do the core. But our core for our program has ethics and law. It has data science for cybersecurity. So how do you analyze all of this data that you get? Psychology of cybersecurity, understanding those who are coming after us, and also understanding ourselves and how we think and how we respond to various prompts. So how can we use that to better train people and better protect them against knee-jerk reactions, for example? We have a policy course. We have a risk analysis course that's specifically focused on cybersecurity risks and how do you put some kind of foundation behind those, because everything's kind of nebulous right now still when you talk about cybersecurity and risk and how do you quantify that. And then all of those are coming out of the foundations course, which has what are the founding documents and founding principles for having a cybersecurity program. So those courses are across disciplines, right? I mentioned psychology, ethics, risk analysis from business, data science from computer science. All of those disciplines together provide this transdisciplinary foundation. And then students go into the technical areas to focus where they want to. We're doing that, by the way, in collaboration with New Mexico Highlands. They're teaching our risk analysis course. We teach courses that they're going to be using for their certificate programs. So that's part of the whole idea behind these programs, is to have them be collaborative across the state and have those who are best at specific things be the ones teaching them. It is available via distance. It's available on campus. We're enrolling students now for next fall. And the other projects include a sorry about that. Too far. That was fun. So we're doing a Cybersecurity Institute this year. We're in our third year of doing that, and we're now on a 3-year contract cycle with Sandia, where the students come in and help develop TracerFire, which is the Sandia forensics competition. And I'll ask Lisa to put in the chat information about students, if there are students that are interested in registering for that. But that program, TracerFire and all of that, is an opportunity for students to get experience with and then become year-round hires with Sandia National Labs. We have the Scholarship for Service program that provides support, academic support, and funding for students in cybersecurity. And we have a research experience for undergraduate students that focuses on the emerging issues in cybersecurity. So there's a group of students that come in, it's about 10 students a year, come in and do research projects over the summer from across the United States on cybersecurity, current topics. We're in the process of setting up an IT and System Administration Institute for Sandia as well. And AFRL, we're in the process of meeting with them about doing something similar for the research lab. So those are some of the big projects that are ongoing. The one that's really exciting, though, because this is really intended to be and is a statewide effort. We have a consortium that drafted a proposal that what came out of that, because we didn't get funded, was the CyberReady New Mexico program. The draft of what does that program look like and what are we trying to do? So it starts with, we have 4 primary components. The first one is educational pathways. We can begin with cyber hygiene training and getting to students, and this ties in with the outreach. What are the career opportunities in cybersecurity? Because it's just like there are some people that have the vision that computer science is just programming, which is so far from the truth. There are different views of what cybersecurity is, and most students in high school and middle school don't have a real concept of what the breadth of cybersecurity is and the sort of things they could do, because it could be anywhere from being someone who develops policy to the very technical network security specialist, right? So there's a wide swath of opportunities that we want students to be aware of. We're working on a high school program so that students can get the education and training in the high school, and then be able to take the certification exams for entry-level cybersecurity certificates so they could graduate from high school with a certificate that lets them start working in cybersecurity. The whole idea with pathways, though, is they may want to come back later and do another certification, do a an associate's degree, come back later and do a bachelor's degree, all the way up through PhD. They should have paths where they can get on and get off for career goals that they have. So it has to fit what they need. And of course, in order to do that, we have to have associates through doctoral academic programs where, again, we share the best in breed in courses, and through collaboration across the state, we can leverage each other's resources instead of it all being everyone that has a program has to do everything themselves. So we want to really work on this being a true partnership across the state. The service program is really about a couple of things coming together. One is student hands-on training. The next is students having the experience prior to graduating from college that gives them the required experience for entry-level positions. It's really disheartening for students to go through an academic program thinking all they have to do is complete that program, and then they go to apply for entry-level positions and are told, oh, you have to have 3 years experience before this entry-level position, before you're qualified for it. And so Lisa's actually shared one with me that had to be a typo, but said they had to have 9 years of experience for an entry-level position. Those things don't make sense, that students coming out of college aren't ready. And so part of CyberReady is that training and then paid work where they can say they have, say, 2 years experience, maybe more, in doing professional cybersecurity work. The 3 areas that we're targeting currently are security operations, and the checks and chess groups have agreed to lead that because they do security operations day to day, right? And so they would be the professionals that ensure those students are doing the right thing for the clients that they work with. We've been doing audits and assessments for a number of years with our students going out and doing those for municipalities and some other organizations to make sure that they're aware of what cyber vulnerabilities we can find. And they're also informed of the mitigations that are recommended, the prioritization of those mitigations to ensure that the really juicy targets that are easy to get to are protected immediately. And then they work on the other things as time allows. But we also have clients that have come back and said, this is great. We now know how vulnerable we are. However, we don't have either the expertise or the staffing to fix these problems. And so the third piece of the service program is a vulnerability mitigation team who could go out and work with whoever their IT staff or support is, work with them to help them get the mitigations, at least the high priority ones, in place as quickly as possible. So that service program gives them training, gives them the work experience needed for those first entry-level career positions, and it provides clients low-cost services that are under professional supervision, but where students are getting that hands-on training. So it's a great combination that helps keep the costs lower, gives students experience, and gives clients a leg up in learning as well, because the students won't be allowed to do it without explaining what they're doing. They don't get free rein on anyone's system. Our outreach program, Lisa leads, and one of the exciting things, even though her name says Jessica in the Zoom, the outreach program goes out to schools, goes out to citizen groups, and talks about what are the vulnerabilities that target this group, what are the cyber attacks that are coming at them, and how do they mitigate those, with some basic cyber hygiene training about when to use multi-factor authentication and what kinds of systems they should use, what things should they avoid, like open Wi-Fi, etc. So it goes through a bunch of those things, and specifically targeting what are the things for that community that are a concern. The research and innovation piece of this is to have entrepreneurship integrated with research that's driven by industry needs. So when people are struggling in New Mexico and we don't know what the solution is to their problems, let's get researchers, students and faculty and staff, and other researchers across the state from the national labs and business people to engage, find solutions, and then get those entrepreneurial solutions out there in a way that grows the cybersecurity industry of the state. So that's kind of the big picture of CyberReady. And we have a consortium that came up with this content and where we want to go with CyberReady New Mexico. So a couple other things that are new. One is the New Mexico Cybersecurity Planning Committee. This came out with the Executive Order 2022-141 and just been established by the governor to apply for and obtain funding from the state and local cybersecurity grant program that's part of DHS, and to identify and provide advice and recommendations to the state, specifically providing advice and recommendations to the governor regarding any legislative action needed to implement the cybersecurity plan. So the list of membership list is here. I think I may be missing one member because the numbers don't quite add up. But this is the membership from the first meeting. And as the governor's designee, which is the role that I'm in on this committee, I personally want to enhance New Mexico's cybersecurity with a whole of state approach. As I said, and I know there will be some pushback to this, and we have to find a balance where I don't want to dictate what you're required to do. But what I would like to have is that the state as a whole provides services, may come with fees, but provides services where you can get reasonably priced services in New Mexico, carried out by New Mexicans, that grows our economy and helps protect our businesses. That's my goal with a whole of state approach. Previously, we've had every department in the state government has been responsible for their own cybersecurity. Every school in every college and university, but because of the way we're founded, they're on their own. Every high school, grade school, middle school, all of them have been on their own. Every municipality, city, county, they're all on their own, other than when they happen to talk to a neighbor who says they can provide a little support. We need to have a little better unified support system than that. And that's what this committee is working toward. So developing a statewide cybersecurity plan, bringing funding from DHS to help develop the plan and then start the implementation of that so that we have better services across the state that we can provide at a good cost to agencies. Somehow we're going to have to pay for it in the long run, so it's probably going to have fees, but let's keep those fees, because of economy of scale, keep those fees under control. The most recent one, and this became official yesterday, that I have been appointed as the cybersecurity selection for 2022 through 2025. That begins in December. but it was announced yesterday at FEMA's meeting. And our mission in the Federal Emergency Management Agency is to help people before, during, and after disasters. From my perspective, that includes cybersecurity attacks. And now that they have a cybersecurity selection, I think I'm the first one. That means that we can start addressing how is cybersecurity affecting the emergency responders and the agencies across states that are having to respond to incidents. Anytime an emergency is declared, we ought to be thinking about what are the cyber implications and what cyber things could make that disaster so much worse. We're now at the point where disasters, these emergency management call outs could come as a result of a cyber incident. And if that happens, we need to know how to address it. And we need to be leveraging those federal cybersecurity resources for emergencies so we can advance cybersecurity in New Mexico and the nation. So that is the newest addition to our plate of things that we're working on. So we have a lot of opportunities. Donations and sponsorships, we're always looking for ways to support more students and better programs, teaching graduate programs. If you have expertise, we're always looking for great instruction, ideas for courses that we really need to add to our programs. Collaboration on research is a big thing, and on what are really difficult challenges that we need to engage our researchers with in order to make cybersecurity better in New Mexico and to grow the cybersecurity economy of the state. All the way through, that ties into the economic development on where we take that research, roll out companies, use entrepreneurship and intellectual property rights to protect it, and then grow income in the state of New Mexico with great jobs for our citizenry. Outreach to just keep everyone aware of what they should do to protect themselves and what the opportunities are for them to engage in cybersecurity, no matter the age of the participant. The service program I talked about extensively about getting that hands-on experience. We'll be looking for volunteers to assist with that, working with people who need help. And then there are a lot of student opportunities. We have students from high school level through PhD. Students have to be old enough and legal to work in the United States. We ran into recently trying to hire a student that was too young and had to wait a couple months for her to be old enough to sign her own hiring paperwork. We hire students to do outreach, to do development work of some of the infrastructure that, for example, will support the Cybersecurity Volunteers Program. That program is one that was suggested by a cybersecurity professional in the state that said they'd be willing to donate an hour or two a month to just providing consultancy to people that have a cybersecurity challenge or question that comes up, and they just need to get a professional answer to a question. So it's not a contracting sort of thing. It's, I just need some advice. And that program requires some infrastructure to set it up. That's part of the development one of the development projects. We also have a lot of students that work on research, and occasionally we have a student that comes in and works on office support, such as putting together sticker packs for our outreach events. At this point, we would love to have input from the community and, of course, support. How do we work with you and make this a true partnership? And Christopher, I hope we have questions or we can enable them to ask questions at this point.
Since we have a more intimate group, Carolyn, I see has her hand up. Let me allow you to speak, Carolyn. If you have a question, feel free to raise your hand and I'll allow you to speak.
Hi, Lori. I missed
Hi,
the
Carol.
presentation this morning, so I will look for that on our YouTube channel. But are you looking to work with other colleges as well? We just got a new person in our where did my words go? In our IT department, and I'm thinking he might be I'm still tongue-tied. I apologize. Are you looking to work with other colleges as well?
Absolutely. For example, Lisa, I hope you put in the chat the information for the upcoming Tracer Fire event. I just sent out emails to all of the colleges, the contacts I had from each of the colleges and universities in New Mexico on, here's an event coming up, please share it with your students. And if they're doing it remotely, we have that ability. If they're going to be on campus, they need to be registered and let us know they're going to be on campus, and we'll provide lunch each day. So we really want to work with colleges and universities across the entire state. And of course, we're working with some outside of New Mexico as well. But we do focus more of our energy on the collaborations inside New Mexico, especially for academic programs, because that fits under the charter that the governor originally gave us. But yes, so please introduce us via the email address there to your new colleague, and we would really like to engage with as many schools in collaborative programs, especially as we can.
Are you looking for like the chairs of the computer science department, or who exactly are you working with at the colleges?
It truly depends. So in some cases, it's a faculty member that specializes in cybersecurity. In some cases, it's the chair of the computer science department. At Highlands, we both work with both computer science, but also the management department, where they're the ones offering it's business management, business technology, where they're the ones offering the risk analysis course. So it depends on the school where there's a potential. And as I said, we do at Highlands, for example, have multiple that we're working with. At UNM, we work both with, well, I should say all three with the Scholarship for Service program is under business. The computer science program has had people in cybersecurity. Recently, they haven't, but earlier they did, and they may have again now this year. I haven't looked. And then ECE, the electrical and computer engineering department, we work a lot with them because they have more of the cybersecurity there on the ECE side of cybersecurity rather than just the software engineering and et cetera side. So we have multiple points of contact. We like to have multiple points of contact at each institution. As long as they're interested, we want to work with them.
I see Lisa put that link in the chat. Thank you, Lisa. And I don't see any questions in the Q&A. So again, if you have a question, please feel free to raise your hand and I will allow you to speak.
Please do. I'd like to have more input. If I need to go back in any slides for you to question or comment anything, I'd like to have the community input. And Tom, thank you for joining us as always. Tom joins us, something I forgot to put on here, and I apologize for that. We host a community discussion every Friday at noon. Our cyber cafe is so you may want to put the link to that also in the chat, Lisa, if you would please. The cyber cafe is just an open discussion where anyone's welcome to come in and join us and talk about topics that are of interest to them, things that are concerns. And if no one comes in with anything, we look at some news articles to see what's going on in cybersecurity. That's every Friday at noon, except for holidays. We do take off holidays now and then.
Lori, this is Steffi. I think that is great that FEMA is recognizing cyber breaches and as a disaster, you know, and I think
Well,
that's great.
It's kind of interesting because I've gone back through, I have started my work, right, on the collecting the data, and I've gone to the meetings this week. I have one more today. I've gone to the meetings and they're not talking about cybersecurity. They have now a cybersecurity selection on the committee, and it's a committee of 40 people. There's one cybersecurity person. And of all the documents that I have read, which is about an inch thick of double-sided print, there are like 3 occurrences of cybersecurity, one of which is just naming CISA as the lead for cybersecurity for the nation. So I've reached out to them. There is a person at FEMA who has cybersecurity as part of his role to, in an operational sense, to oversee that. And I've reached out to him to see what else I can learn about what they're doing currently. But I think part of their strategic plan has in it 3 areas they're focusing on right now. That's diversity and equity, climate change resilience, and then having a ready and resilient emergency response. And that third one is where cybersecurity really comes into play. And I'm hoping that we will be able to work with them. I already, in one of the meetings, have reached out to a couple of people that are from New Mexico or associated with things that we're working on, and hope that we can help strengthen the community dealing with cybersecurity. Certainly, I've become aware of some of their resources that we hadn't been aware of before that we may be able to use. Some of them are kind of depressing, unfortunately, but there is a great data and visualization system that provides a lot of county and voting block information. And one of the things that's depressing to me that I learned with this that I will be using in grant proposals is Socorro County is one of the least resilient counties in the nation. So we need to work on bringing in funding. And there's some things that when you look at the national map, you can see New Mexico's not doing well in certain areas. And I think we need to use that data to help us get funded projects that will help improve the resilience of our county and our state, as well as, of course, helping with the nation. So I'm excited with this new role. It's going to be an exciting new challenge.
And you talked about the FBI. You mentioned the FBI.
Yeah, we've met with them, myself and Michael Smith from ICASA, the Institute for Complex Additive Systems Analysis. They do work on all kinds of complex systems and how different systems of systems break everything. You know, you just get incompatibilities and it tends to break things. And they're doing a lot of work on cybersecurity for Internet of Things and uses of Internet of Things devices. So we met with the FBI. I went up once with Vice President Dunbar, Vice President for Research, and we talked with them about more generally and then also about the center. And then Michael and I went back up and talked to them about how we might work with them on the open source intelligence kinds of work. And they're interested in particular in open source intelligence where we can let them know things that are happening that are impacting or likely to impact New Mexico. Because it's the local office, they want to specifically protect New Mexico residents.
Wow, you're a busy lady. Oh my gosh, congratulations on
Well,
your two projects.
I couldn't do a third of what I do if it weren't for Lisa and Jessica. Just couldn't do it. So I have an amazing team here. And, you know, as I mentioned, we had 60 students we supported this last year. They do a lot of work as well.
Yes, that's so good. Yes, that's wonderful. You're doing a great job. And thank you for making time for us and for sponsoring this webinar this past month. You helped us out a whole bunch. So I really do appreciate it.
Well, we've been happy to collaborate with you. You know, cybersecurity is what we're all about, and setting up these statewide collaborations, this work across the Small Business Development Center, work with them, the Small Business Development Centers, the TCA, all of these different organizations is really part of our mission to make New Mexico a leader in cybersecurity. It's the only way we're going to get there is if we do it together.
Right. So
thank you, everyone. I appreciate those who attended, and for those who watch the video later, please send us input and feedback and contacts at nmccoe@nmt.edu.